Welcome to the Jamodi podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Biology. What's your BSA score? The Biology Skill Assessment is the only verified skills metric endorsed by the NIA and NJCAA to discover and develop the best talent for your team. This 10-minute, 100-shot test can be taken for free today on the Biology mobile app. Elevate your game. What's one thing that makes your program different?
So I never pick starters. So, for example, in my 10 years of being a head coach, I've never picked the starting lineup. Their practice habits, their practice effort, their practice plus minus has done that. So once again, I probably film too much stuff and chart too much stuff, but I like to measure and give kids feedback. So, for example, we'll film every practice, and anything 5-on-5, we'll grade it. So we have 10 winning plays, 10 losing plays that we grade every single day. So when you come in on a Monday, you can see what you did well. So, for example, I had 4 missed blockouts. That's a -3. So that's a -12. But I stole this from you. I had 10 hero passes. I'm sticking with it. All my kids want to call it a one more, but I'm sticking with hero. I love it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. But I had 10 hero passes. So that's a +10. So you have this plus minus you're fighting for every day. So the first week of the season, you don't play a game, you have a practice. So Monday through Friday, you get a grade. And the top 5 on the board, you're starting that next Tuesday and Friday game, no matter what. And then whoever wins that week gets a gold jersey. So we have one guy who gets a gold jersey in practice. They get to be the captain. They get to pick our music. If we're going out to eat that week, they get to pick that, what color socks we're wearing for the game. So you kind of give them some, some reward with it, and you get a social media shout out. And at the end of the year, you get to sign the gold jersey for ever how many times you won it. So to me, just trying to reward, good behaviors. And to me, it changed our program this year. We had a kid who, I tell him all the time, he's the worst kid I've ever started. He was the hardest playing kid I've ever had.
Yeah.
And completely, he got healthy. He broke his wrist at the beginning of the year. He got sick midway through, but in district time, he hasn't even played a game yet, but came in and just outworked and just hustled. And we started him, and it changed the dynamic of our season. And just his tenacity and toughness just really put us over the edge. And now our younger guys are seeing, hey, Coach Sip's going to reward these things, so I better do these things in practice, or I'm never going to see the floor. So I just kind of put the ball in their court.
Coach, I think it's a brilliant idea.
Mm-hmm.
You're the first person I've ever heard do that.
It's crazy, right?
I've never, man, I've listened to tons. I've never heard that before. And I can see so many times we preach, work hard, your time will come, it'll pay off.
Right.
But then are there guys that probably deep down think, man, I'm guy 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It doesn't really matter what I do. I can't make up the gap to get into that rotation.
Mm-hmm.
But they truly, at practice, truly do have the opportunity. Let me push back a little bit and ask, I see all the positives. What are some of the negatives that and maybe they're not big, or if there's none, you can say there's no negatives that you
there's
felt
always some.
That. Yeah.
Well, like for instance, this year, you're running a 5-out offense, but you have the middle guy who's kind of your post playmaker. Well, one game I didn't have one because who I started were 5 guards, smaller guys. Or, for example, you're playing a pressing team. You're playing Watson at Kenny, and he's going to press you the whole entire game, and your best ball handler is sitting. But I've always seen it to work out. It's never not worked out. You can get those guys in quick, but to me, if you're not rewarding, I think the positive outweighs the negative by far, within that stuff.
Here's another positive to it is I was thinking on that flip side, scouting or preparing for you Well, guys, listen, no clue who they're going to start.
For sure. Yeah.
So you could dictate the game, in a way of you play five guards, and they're a man team with a couple bigs. Well, all of a sudden, how do they match up?
Right.
I see more positives with that than negatives.
And to me, in my time at Sulphur, we were loaded with guys, and I had 7 Division I guys on the roster at one time, and our practices were so competitive. So I had to find a way to make younger guys hungry and just compete. And we had 2 or 3 guys that didn't want to practice hard, so we were always fighting them. So we got to the point, and we were like, "Hey, you're not going to start, because if you're not in this top 5 of this." Of our practice goals, then it's not going to happen. So all of a sudden it turned their mindset around to, no, I got to compete, and I'm too prideful not to start. So it just changed the way we practice, and just kind of became who we were.
How do you go about the statting of it? Like, and I'm not. So one time I was listening to Alan Stein he came to Faith to do a stronger team thing, and he was talking about all the things that as coaches we should do, and I, in a moment of weakness, raised my hand and said, "Coach, listen, it's just me by myself at my school. I don't have any full-time guys, and I get 38 to 43 minutes a day. What with that amount of little amount of time, how do you go about choosing?" And he just flipped it on me and said, "Listen, there are a lot of dudes that don't get 38 to 43 minutes. So the question is what all can you do?"
Right.
Not, can't do something. So, because when you say this is how you go about the week, my mind just starts going, man, how could I do that with other things that have to be done without? So how many assistants you're delegating it to them, just the process of that, just help me through that.
So early on at Sulphur, it was me and 1 assistant, because I had 2 guys who were football guys, and we didn't get those guys with us. As we've evolved and became better at Sulphur, we got another assistant in who was a basketball guy, so that helped. But kind of the process we do it now, we have 1 guy who kind of puts up everything. So I have 4 assistants, so me plus 3. So my first assistant, he'll do the winning plays. My second assistant will do the losing plays, and then me and the other coach will call out. So we'll all sit down after practice, whether it's most of the time it's 20 to 25 minutes, and we'll just go through, and me and the other coach will call stuff out, and the other 2 are charting, and then we'll just kind of add it up. It takes about 30, 35 minutes after practice, but to me, it's something that we have to do here at Allen. It's worth the time put in, and I try not to waste time in doing stuff. I try to, be deliberate about what we do and not try to do too much, but to me, that's something that's really made us who we are.
How long are you practicing in season?
It varies. At Sulphur, way too long. The older I've gotten, the more aware of their bodies and, wanting your legs late. I thought this year I did a really good job of managing that. My assistants let me know pretty frequently that, just those reminders. So early on in the season, you're going the whole 2 hours. In district, an hour 15, an hour sometimes. Just making sure we get our skill in, and then whether some scout or fine tune some stuff. So I think it just depends on the team you have as well. If you have an older team that's more experienced, you can kind of let off. If you have a team that you're trying to build toughness and, they're not there yet, and in 2 years they're going to be really good, I think you can go a little bit longer.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.